Out of the entire slate of 2025 international films, there was one that I had my eye on more than any other, one that I was really excited to see, and that was the latest feature from Park Chan-wook, No Other Choice. I finally managed to see this film, and I can't wait to talk about this one with you guys, so let's get into it. First and foremost, I love Park Chan-wook's work as a filmmaker. I really enjoyed Oldboy, and the twists that that film delivers on are absolutely shocking, and his previous feature, Decision to Leave, is one of the most intellectually stimulating films of its era, and I think Park Chan-wook is one of the most gifted filmmakers in the modern era. No one quite puts together a movie the way that he does, and every film that he delivers on feels like an interesting event and delivers on a film that has you thinking about it and discussing it at length, because his films carry so much substance and weight, and No Other Choice is definitely another example of that. No Other Choice is yet again another staggering feat in filmmaking craft, utilizing expert shot composition and editing techniques that blow my mind and have me just wondering how on earth these were put together and stitched together the way they were. It feels impossible, the ways that this film innovates with its style, and Park Chan-wook has been a master of utilizing that throughout his entire career, and he once again delivers that here with No Other Choice, while giving us a searing critique on the job market, which I thought was deeply resonant and feels like one of the most important films of 2025.
Dude, like, oh my God, like, can we talk about like the political and economic state of the world right now?
This movie pissed me off for many reasons, and I mean this in a totally complimentary sense, of course, but it's because its themes are so resonant to today's world. The film follows a character that has been laid off and is applying for jobs consistently, has the right temperament for a job, is experienced, has the qualifications, is getting denied over and over again because the job market in today's world is that fucking garbage. People are out of a job for so long, despite doing all the necessary work needed to get it. There is nothing left that they really need to get a job, but we're just fed a denial each and every time, and it is such a grind to get a job, despite putting in the necessary work needed to get one. And No Other Choice puts that to the forefront and critiques it in such a way that I have been longing to see put together on the big screen. I think Park Chan-wook nails it on the head here with this character, and pushing these characters to the absolute extremes to really illustrate how garbage this process has become. Even if you do the right things, you work hard, you raise a family, you have all the correct values, in this type of capitalistic world that is only getting worse and worse over the years, you're just going to get kicked and shit on when you're down, because that is just the way that it is now, and No Other Choice once again puts that to the forefront. It analyzes that, it critiques that in a very nuanced fashion that made this such a compelling piece of work. But this doesn't forget that it's a movie. It likes to have fun with its concept, which it does to brilliant fashion. The film puts this character in this position that is quite shitty, of course, but his solution to trying to get out of it is to kill the competition off, literally. And you see this character reckon with a real moral crisis here, but he's also put into a position where he needs this job to provide for his family, to keep his home, to get back the dogs that he's had to give away because he can't afford to feed them. All of these things come together and put this character in such a desperate position where he has to find a way to murder his competition. And for a character that isn't a serial killer, isn't a complete psychopath, although that may shift over the course of this film, I was quite entertained by the execution of this. This is, of course, complemented with such in-depth imagery that communicates so much through one frame, and Park Chan-wook has always been a master at delivering that. I thought Decision to Leave was his best work in terms of putting so many things into a frame that was just absolutely mind-blowing and communicating so much in-depth messaging, and No Other Choice does exactly that. I loved the shot composition here. I loved the way it has fun with its premise. I thought the build-up to this crescendo around the middle of the film was picture-perfect filmmaking. I think this is one of the most technically impressive films of the year, and at moments like that, it has a lot of fun with it. the way that this character is hiding a gun, the way in which he has conflict with these other applicants, the way that these other applicants are in a somewhat similar situation to him. It all just comes together and harmonizes so well. And I never really look at them too similarly, but this has a lot of dialogue with another notable Korean filmmaker in Bong Joon-ho. The way that Bong Joon-ho criticizes capitalism, Park Chan-Wook does something very similar here, and I think this film has a lot of dialogue and would make a very great double feature with something like Parasite, in looking at class systems and hierarchical structures and the way that impacts people and their day-to-day lives. I also really love the performances here. Lee Byung-hun in the lead role was utterly fantastic. He gives a wonderful three-dimensional performance here. He delivers on comedy, this weird satire that is throughout the film, the heavy drama, the thriller aspects of this film. It all combines together so well while weaving together a really well-crafted character that is written to perfection, that makes this character compelling to follow. And even though he's doing some pretty fucked up shit in this movie, you can understand where he's coming from and why he decides to do the things he does, because he is given no other choice, which the movie is so smartly titled. I think it is one of the most accurate titles for a movie this year, by far. I also really like the supporting work from Yeom Hai-ran. I thought she was wonderful. She gets absolutely deranged in this film, and this middle crescendo sequence that I'm speaking about, she features in it actively, and she does a wonderful job in that sequence. Technically, as I mentioned, the film is utterly superb, with some of the best use of cinematography in a film this year. The lighting, the shot structure, the way that it is all put together and crafted, the color grading is all just picture perfect. And so many shots manage to communicate so much to the audience. I think the very ending of this film has some of the strongest imagery in a movie in 2025. What it represents, what it means, what this character is really fighting for. It all just manages to say so much while being this harsh critique on the current landscape of the world. And I think that was just so brilliant, and is something that feels so refreshing, that a character is able to say these things out loud with the entertaining aspects that this film carries on, makes this just such a well executed filmmaking experience. The editing, once again, is brilliant, like all Park Chan-Wook movies are. Kim Sung-byum is a Hall of Famer editor. I mean, the things that he's able to do with these transitions is ridiculous. As well as Kim Ho-bin, the way that these two collaborate here, putting together and stitching this film together, it's both very stylish while being heavily effective. I think some of the best transitions in this film remind me a little bit of a Francis Ford Coppola film when he was in his peak. The way that certain dissolves are used, and the way that certain shots and scenes are put together, it all weaves together really well. It feels effortless and puts you into a flow state with this movie. And for a 2 hour and 20-minute film, I think this film flies by because the edit is so strong. I'd say just a few negatives here, very, very minor nitpicks really, is when it starts getting close to the third act, you feel the momentum of the film start to dwindle a bit, because it starts to focus slightly more on other characters that were more supporting. They come more to the forefront, and their importance is not to be denied. I think they do play a key role in this film, and I do think they performed well and reveal a little bit more about the character, but I really liked focusing on the protagonist here. So when it started to deviate a little bit away from that, I did feel like the film was starting to lose itself a bit. I think if those sequences were just finely tuned a little bit better, we'd have just such a perfectly streamed movie that would just flow together so nicely. I, for one, just didn't quite click with that little, maybe 5-10 minute moment within the film. As a whole, No Other Choice is an excellent film, one that I highly recommend you watch. I think that this is an essential film to see, and one that just speaks to the modern times so well, that captures the anger that so many people have towards the job market, which has gotten to such a ridiculous state that has ruined so many lives and affects so many people's mental health. It should not be ignored, and No Other Choice puts that at the forefront and criticizes those responsible, as it should. As a film, I'm going to give No Other Choice a strong 4.5 out of 5. I think this is one of the strongest films of 2025. It is one of the best directed films of 2025 and must not be ignored. Go check this one out if you can. This film is worthy of your time. And those are my thoughts towards No Other Choice. If you've seen the movie, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. I love to hear your thoughts. Remember to like and subscribe, and if you enjoyed the channel, please consider becoming a member, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.